and welcome. Tonight, after 48 hours in detention, Ibom Air passenger accused of misconduct, Comfort Imansin, regains freedom following the withdrawal of charge by the Lagos Police Command. You have lost the right to prosecute any unruly passenger. That's coming from human rights lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, to the federal government following the pardon granted Fuji musician Kwam. Amnesty International indicts the Nigeria police, the military, regional security outfit, Ecobank and others over alleged massive killings and human rights violations in the southeastern region. And U.S. President Donald Trump says there will be severe consequences if Russian President Vladimir Putin fails to agree to end the war with Ukraine after Friday's summit in Alaska.
On business news tonight, financial derivatives company projects Nigeria's inflation to further drop to 21.79% in July on continued lower cost of fuel and naira exchange rate stability.
On sports news tonight, Nigeria's D Tigers defeat Madagascar in their opening game at the FIBA Afrobasket as they begin their quest to win the tournament for a second time.
And from the nation's capital, federal government announces a 7-year freeze on establishment of federal universities in a bid to improve the quality of already existing ones.
Begin tonight in the courts. The magistrate court sitting in Ogba right here in Lagos has ordered the release of the passenger accused of unruly behavior and assault aboard Ibom Air flight Comfort Imansin. Magistrate Olarinwaju Salami struck out the 5 counts as charged and freed Ms. Imansin following the withdrawal of the charge made against her by the police. But shortly after her release, Ms. Imansin took to her Instagram page where she disclosed that she was still in pain but could give her own account of the incident after obtaining some rest and medical treatment. Our judiciary correspondent, Shalashi Yale, has the report.
Up until Sunday, August 10, 2025, not much was known about Comfort Imansin, who went viral for alleged unruly behavior and assault aboard an Ibom Air flight traveling from Ibo to Lagos.
You want to grab a quick picture and slap her. She's destroying the aircraft.
A statement from the airline subsequently indicated that the unfortunate incident arose because of the refusal of the passenger to switch off her phone during takeoff, as required by extant international civil aviation regulations. The very next day, Monday, August 11th, she was swiftly docked before a magistrate court on a 5-count charge for assault, unruly and disorderly behavior, as well as willful damage of the airline divider, valued at about $2,500. She was granted bail by the court in the sum of 500,000 naira, with 2 sureties in like sum. But following her inability to meet the bail conditions, she was remanded at the Kirikiri Correctional Center till October 6. Ibom Airline and the Airline Operators of Nigeria, AON, also went ahead to impose a lifetime no-fly ban against her. These measures swiftly triggered a backlash from many Nigerians and groups, including the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and the Nigerian Bar Association. While condemning Ms. Imansin's actions, many also pointed at the double standards exhibited, especially in comparison with that of Fuji musician Kwam, who was given a lesser punishment with no charges filed against him.
Wait now, say you strong, why you not wait?
48 hours after her remand, the Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, asked Ibom Air and ValueJet, whose officials were involved in the separate incidents with the 2 passengers, to withdraw their complaints against them. In a statement shortly after, the minister said he decided to withdraw charges against Ms. Imansin and Kwam after a review of the incidents involving the 2 airlines and appeals from well-meaning Nigerians. Following the withdrawal of the charge in court, Magistrate Olarinwaju Salami struck out the 5 counts, discharged and freed Imansin, while advising her to always exercise wisdom in her future conduct, no matter the level of provocation. Although she didn't speak to reporters after her release, Ms. Emanson later took to her social media handle, where she thanked everyone who supported her during her ordeal. She, however, disclosed that she was still in pains and would need to get medical treatment before releasing her version of the incident. Shola Shoyeli, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, is questioning the federal government's handling of the case against Fuji star Wasiu Ayinde Marshal, popularly known as Kwam, over his recent conduct at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. According to the human rights lawyer, by hastily accepting Kwam's apology and granting him pardon without allowing the police to conclude its investigation, the federal government has lost the moral right to prosecute any unruly passenger who commits an offense at any of the nation's airports. In a press statement made available to Newsman today, Mr. Falana also said the federal government decided to withdraw the charges filed against the passenger accused of unruly behavior aboard an Ibom Air flight, Ms. Comfort Manson, because of the refusal to charge Kwam with appropriate criminal offenses. According to him, since citizens have equal rights, obligations, and opportunities before the law, the federal government will henceforth be accused of subjecting any unruly passenger to discriminatory treatment on the ground that Kwam was pardoned without any criminal trial whatsoever. And there's more on the incidents between Ibom Air and Ms. Comfort Manson, as the National Human Rights Commission is condemning what it calls the torture, inhuman and degrading treatment of Ms. Manson following an incident involving officials of Ibom Air. The Commission's Executive Secretary, Christian Chukwu, at a press briefing in Abuja today, says the viral videos of Ms. Manson's forceful removal and her partial stripping amounts to grave violations of human dignity, privacy and freedom from torture guaranteed under Nigerian law and international treaties.
Conference by the National Human Rights Commission, as the attention of the Commission shifts to the incident between a passenger on Ibom Air and officials of the airline. The Executive Secretary of the Commission shares the position of the Commission on the forceful removal of a female passenger by officials of Ibom Air.
My point is very clear that amongst all human rights violations, the right to not to be tortured is a right you can never justify. There's no reason in this world the instrument, both national and international instruments, says there can never be any justification for you to use torture. No matter what anybody, even if somebody is an armed robber, even if somebody is a kidnapper, even if somebody has done the worst thing, let's say he has committed treason, it can never be a justification for torture.
According to the NHRC, rights to dignity, privacy, and freedom from torture are absolute and cannot be suspended under any circumstances, even for suspected offenders. The recent Value Jet incident involving musician Wasiu Ayinde is also brought to the fore as the Commission issues an advisory on regular training for airline officials.
We note the recent decisions of the government and aviation authorities in taking decisive action and issuing amnesty on alleged offences involving the Ibom Air incident and the recent one involving Value Jet Airline and Mr. Wasiu Ayinde Marshal. It is our respected view that all the human rights issues arising from both cases should be thoroughly addressed in the interest of rule of law and justice.
As the NHRC urges the Ministry of Aviation and regulators to update passenger handling procedures, make human rights training mandatory for airline staff, and prosecute offenders under the Anti-Torture Act of 2017, it pledges to keep monitoring both cases to ensure accountability and respect for passenger rights in Nigeria's aviation sector.
And staying with human rights issues, international rights group Amnesty has indicted the police, the army, the regional security outfit Ibom Air, and non-state actors for massive killings, forced disappearance, and various violations of human rights in the southeastern region. Amnesty, in its latest report, says that over 1,844 people were killed by both state and non-state actors between January 2021 and June 2023 alone. The group is now asking the federal government to act fast and stop the killings in the region. Members of the Amnesty International Nigeria are here for the launch of a report on southeast Nigeria. The report, which is titled A Decade of Impunity, chronicles attack and unlawful killings in the region since 2016. Officials give some insight on the content of the report.
Part of our findings show that gunmen killed over 400 people in Imo State between January 2019 and December 2021. So these killers often emerge from their camps. They don't even mask their faces as they do in the past. Nigerian security agencies, including the military and police, committed unlawful killings, arbitrary arrest and detention, torture, enforced disappearance, and destruction of property.
Our work is always to ensure that lives are protected everywhere in the world, and the responsibility for protecting lives must be taken seriously. We must all ensure that lives are protected at all times and everywhere.
It's time for the business of the day as the report is officially launched. The report highlights key findings, including total number of people killed between 2021 and 2023, attacks between farmers and herders, attacks by IPOB members, and military reprisals, amongst others. Beyond the findings, however, the report also makes key recommendations for addressing the situation. The organization also wants the governments to intervene speedily to stem the tide.
Our main call is for the Nigerian authorities to uphold their constitutional and international human rights obligations by guaranteeing, protecting, and ensuring the right to life, physical integrity and liberty, security and safety of the people, and they have to stop the madness going on in the southeast. It has to stop.
Although the security situation in the southeast has been a subject of debate by many, it is hoped that this report will open new frontiers for conversations around finding lasting solutions to the problem. More than 5 Boko Haram terrorists have been killed after a bomb they planted to target Nigerian army troops exploded in Kareto, a community in Mobile local government area of Borno State. Reports indicate the terrorists ambushed troops of 145 Battalion in Damasak in Kareto, detonating an improvised explosive device before opening fire. However, the insurgents were caught in their own blast when troops executed anti-ambush drills, outflanked them and returned fire. 5 terrorists were killed instantly by this explosion, while several others were neutralized in the ensuing gun battle, forcing the rest of them to flee with injuries. Meanwhile, in Benue State, 3 persons have been killed on Tuesday's night attack in Upwem community in Mbambai Council ward of Guma local government area of the state, 24 hours after 3 others were killed in Yelawata within the same local government. Speaking to Channels Television on the latest killings, the community leader and former candidate of Guma 1 State Assembly seat in the 2023 general election, Jimin Jeffrey, says the discovery of the corpse of an elderly man from the community on Wednesday morning brought the casualty figure to 3 following the killing of Ake Kelvin and Francis Momsur. The chairman of Guma local government area, Mr. Maurice Soworo, has now mobilized security forces to the area. In part 2, after the break, President Bola Tinubu departs Abuja on Thursday for a 2-nation visit to Japan and Brazil. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. After 48 hours in detention, Ibom Air passenger accused of misconduct, Comfort Manson, regains freedom following the withdrawal of charges by the Lagos Police Command. You have lost the right to persecute any unruly passenger. That's coming from human rights lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, to the federal government following the pardon granted Fuji musician Kwam. Amnesty International indicts the Nigeria police, the military, regional security outfit in Buwago, and others over alleged massive killings and human rights violation in the southeastern region. And U.S. President Donald Trump says there will be severe consequences if Russian President Vladimir Putin fails to agree to end the war with Ukraine after Friday's summit in Alaska. President Bola Tinubu is to depart Abuja tomorrow for a two-nation trip to Japan and Brazil. According to the statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onunuga, the President will stop over in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, before proceeding to Japan. In Japan, President Tinubu will attend the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development in the city of Yokohama from August the 20th to the 22nd. In addition to attending plenary sessions at the conference, the President will hold bilateral meetings and meet the chief executive officers of some Japanese companies with investments in Nigeria. At the end of that conference, President Tinubu will leave for Brasilia, the capital of the Federative Republic of Brazil, for a two-day state visit from Sunday the 24th of August to Monday, August the 25th. And this follows an invitation by Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. While in Brazil, President Tinubu will hold bilateral meetings with his host and attend a business forum with Brazilian investors. And we head to Taraba State, where the Governor Abu Kefa says he has no hidden agenda in handling issues relating to his ailing deputy and has not gone contrary to the law by not choosing another person to replace him. The governor stated this when he addressed journalists for the first time since the deputy took ill in November 2024.
This press conference at the executive chamber of the T.Y. Danjuma Government House is at the instance of Governor Abu Kefas to clear the air on the health status of the state's deputy governor, Aminu Alkali, who has been absent from public space since November 2024 on medical grounds. In his address, the governor says leadership is all about humanity before politics, and he's optimistic that the deputy governor will recuperate, resume his official duties, and should it be otherwise, the Constitution and Doctrine of Necessity will be activated.
The Constitution gives us laws to follow, and we have done everything required of us under the law. But laws alone are not enough. Morality and conscience must also guide our decisions. If in the course of time and circumstances the need arises to act accordingly to the Constitution regarding his position, I will not hesitate to do so in the right way. But for now, our duty is clear: to care, to support, and to let compassion lead us.
The Chief of Staff to Governor Kefas currently oversees agencies under the Office of the Deputy Governor, which has generated controversies and a call for the replacement of the ailing Deputy Governor.
Even 2027, I'm not a governor. One thing that I thank God is I did not shed any human blood to become a governor. So that same God that brought me here will see me through. When my time is up, He knows where to take me to. So I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm not afraid of anything. I can only do what is right.
The State Attorney General speaks on the steps provided by the Constitution in removing a deputy governor, just as the CAN chairman commends the governor for Dow's intention.
First of all, you have to confirm that he is incapacitated and cannot carry the functions of his office. That is the first step. Once you do that, you can now come to the State Executive Council for the setting up of a medical panel. These are procedures that have not been followed.
Hearing from you, we now know your position, we now know where you stand, and what you are doing actually is, for me, is really, really commendable.
As the press conference ends, the governor discloses that he's not dissolving or changing his cabinet anytime soon, even as he calls on residents to pray for the deputy governor's recovery.
We continue the news at 10 now as we head over to Abuja studios where Terry Ikumi is standing by. Over to you, Terry.
Well, thank you very much, Anne. The Federal Executive Council has approved a 7-year freeze on the establishment of new federal institutions across the country in a bid to address duplication and improve the quality of existing ones. According to the Minister of Education, who briefed journalists at a Federal Executive Council meeting today, access to tertiary education is no longer an issue in the country. They said what is rampant now is duplication of new federal tertiary institutions and significant reduction in the current capacity of each of these institutions. Our State House correspondent Larry Lasisi has a report.
Members of the Federal Executive Council getting set for the week's meeting. President Bola Tinubu arrives and the meeting commences. The first item on the agenda is the swearing in of the chairman and the commissioner of the Nigerian Law Reform Commission.
And I will devote myself to the service and well-being of the people of Nigeria. So help me God.
A moment's silence is then observed in honor of late Chief Audu Ogbe, a 3-time member of the Federal Executive Council.
May his soul rest in perfect peace. Amen.
The meeting then transits into a closed session. Almost 2 hours later, some ministers brief correspondents on key resolutions reached. First is a 7-year freeze on the establishment of new federal tertiary institutions across the country.
The shocking data that we're seeing today, we have 199 universities that less than 99 candidates apply to seek to go to those universities. 64 colleges of education had 0 candidates choosing them. So if we want to improve the quality of our tertiary institution and not be a laughing stock across the world, the FEC decision today is the most pragmatic and the best for our educational system.
The minister adds that some of the institutions already established could also be reviewed.
The fact that those acts were signed by the president doesn't mean those tertiary institutions will see the light of the day. The president has already approved giving us the go-ahead to set the guidelines based on this. So, and I'm going to use this public podium to appeal to our politicians, more importantly our legislators. We don't need to open more of this tertiary institution. And today is a good day. The president has put a full stop and full break on this.
The Director General of the Bureau of Public Procurement also presented 6 key points to the Federal Executive Council, which were approved.
The second one is that ministers are requested to forward to the BPP a comprehensive list of projects that have been awarded under their ministries and their parastatals for the 2024-2025 fiscal years for analysis and transmittal to the President's office. Honourable ministers have been directed that a significant number of their projects under the 2025 budget are procured using the open competitive bidding. Of course, details of compliance of this should be forwarded also to the BPP for action.
Council also directed that preference must be given to made-in-Nigeria goods in adherence to the Nigeria First policy, making sure that priority is given to local companies or Nigerian companies and organizations as long as they meet international standard. Government-owned agencies have also been directed to ensure they comply with the Public Procurement Act in adherence to the Finance Act of 2020. From the Presidential Villa, Lanre Lasisi, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, has launched a compressed natural gas daughter station in Abuja, a move that will significantly boost CNG infrastructure in north-central Nigeria. The facility, which also has an auto-conversion center, is designed to ensure that the energy transition drive of the current administration is a reality. Our correspondent Dele Omoyeni reports. The Naseni Portland CNG Center, located in Kubwa, a suburb of the nation's capital, consists of a CNG conversion center, a training center, and a CNG gas refill station. The Executive Vice President of Naseni gives an insight into the project.
Our plan is ambitious to replicate these facilities in the 36 states and the FCT, making it possible to convert every vehicle in Nigeria to CNG in the coming years. This daughter station represents our commitment to accessibility, bringing CNG technology closer to the people, competition, breaking monopolies to improve service quality and affordability, and efficiency, reducing bottlenecks and long queues for CNG users.
The federal government pledges support for the continued expansion of CNG infrastructure.
Was to facilitate investment. So I told you, Mr. President was clear. Your job is not to replace the private sector. Your job is to enable the private sector. And so we went to work. We needed to work with the private sector, both small and big. Foreign investors, local investors, as the case may be. And I'm pleased to report to you that just 18 months later, we've tracked over $980 million worth of investment in the CNG sector. This easily is the fastest growing sector in the country today.
As government, our role is to act as a catalyst, unlocking private sector expertise and capital to deliver meaningful results for the Nigerian people.
Key stakeholders in the sector also speak about the center.
I told them what we can do with CNG is so enormous. In every area of our industrial life, CNG play a lot of role.
We are very happy. Of course, prior to this commissioning, we have some CNG stations. A lot of our vehicles go and queue for a long time. We lose a lot of time and we lose a lot of money by that queue.
With the launch of the CNG daughter station, Naseni pledges its continued partnership with stakeholders in improving energy infrastructure in the country. Dele Omoyeni, Channels Television News. Well, still to come on the news at 10, financial derivatives company projects Nigeria's inflation to further drop to 21.79% in July, and continued lower cost of fuel and Naira exchange rate stability. That's on Business News. To stay with us.
And boot camps, rigorous screenings and lively voting sessions. The champions of the Ecobank Innovatex Challenge have finally been crowned. This innovative contest, tailored for youths in the creative and STEM, science and technology, engineering and mathematics, reached its final with a pitch showdown right here in Lagos and 20 million Naira prize pool.
Ecobank's Pan-African Center is the venue for the grand finale of InnovateX competition, the maiden edition of one of Ecobank's key initiatives to shape the future of African enterprise.
It is just more than a competition. It is a comprehensive development platform offering hybrid bootcamps, expert-led pitching and business workshops, mentorship, international exposure, and a valuable opportunity to pitch to key stakeholders. The InnovateX Challenge also serves to highlight our youth-focused product, which is the Ecobank Blaze account.
Here, each of the 18 finalists, young entrepreneurs and tech innovators, mount the podium to pitch their ideas before a panel of judges.
The broader goal of NEBOL is actually turn estates into self-sustaining, innovative and interconnected hubs where service, security, and convenience meet.
This Lead Forge is a combination of leadership and digital creativity. Now, what we do is that we equip youth with digital storytelling skills to shape narrative and drive change.
Their presentations span a spectrum of ingenuity, scalable business models, revolutionary product, and cutting-edge applications born from creative and STEM disciplines.
A round of applause for them one more time. Second runner-up.
After a thrilling pitching session, winners are announced amidst cheers, with prizes totaling 20 million Naira to fuel their dreams. Additionally, each of the other 10 finalists receive a consolation prize of 300,000 Naira, recognizing their outstanding efforts.
with the money we have won, we look forward to purchasing official historical data from the NGX, and we also look forward to scaling our back-end infrastructure and as well launching in Q4 2025.
Up to when we were at the bootcamp and all, I wasn't expecting anything like this. This is the highlight of my year so far. It's a big deal. And thank you so much to Ecobank and Eve Ventures particularly.
For us at Ecobank, it's a very successful event, and we are very proud to have launched products Blaze and also be associated with the youths who are driving the frontiers of innovation in our economy today.
Ecobank champions this platform, encouraging participants and winners alike to leverage the exposure, network, and funding to accelerate their growth and make a lasting impact across Nigeria.
Let's continue in the world of business with Dominic Iwewu standing by to give us more.
Thank you and welcome to Business News. Ahead of the official inflation report set to be released by the National Bureau of Statistics on Friday this week, economic advisory firm Financial Derivatives Company projects the figure to drop further to 21.79% for July. According to its projection, this would be the fourth consecutive declaration in 2025 and the lowest in almost 2 years. The economic think tank attributes the likely decline to the appreciation of the naira, lower energy costs, and the harvest season. FDC adds that the disinflationary trend could pave the way for a likely rate cut of at least 25 basis points to 27.25% when authorities meet by December. The domestic equities market reversed yesterday's gains as losses in the price of some mid-cap stocks pulled back the all-share index 145,000 level. John Mekwa tells us more.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the stock market report. Well, today, midweek trading ended in the red zone. 147 billion naira has gone off profit taking so investors have decided to take a bit of the profit that they've been keeping for a bit now. So we see market cap it's still looking good at 92.2 trillion naira, but we have lost the 146,000 level. We're now at 145,822.23. The all-share closing in the red 0.16%. Let's look at the sectors to tell us more about this. Banking is back in the red territory. GTCO, UBA, Zenith Bank experienced profit taking, so it's down more than 0.5%. Consumer goods follows suit, even more than that. Champion and Nigerian Brew is leading the way for profit taking today in that sector. But insurance, it's still raining. It's still looking so good. Not as good as yesterday, but 7.94% up is what we have for insurance, and predictably they topped the trades at the close of trades today from Universal Insurance. Japogo Oil and Gas, of course, found a way in there. Veritas also is looking good. So insurance is still looking good, but it's a victory to the bear.
Now let's find out how major global stock markets ended Wednesday's trading session. And that's it on Business News. Back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. Still to come on the news at 10. U.S. President Donald Trump says there will be severe consequences if President Vladimir Putin fails to agree to end the war with Ukraine after Friday's summit in Alaska. That's on the foreign scene. Please join us here. I'm Pizzi from our London studio for more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has held virtual talks with European leaders and Donald Trump ahead of the US president's meeting with Russia's Vladimir Putin in Alaska on Friday. In an online call, European leaders, including UK's Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer, reiterated that no decisions should be taken without Ukraine, including changing its borders by force. Mr. Trump said last week there would be some swapping of territories to the betterment of both Russia and Ukraine, sparking concern in Kyiv and across Europe that Moscow could be allowed to redraw Ukraine's borders. The UK, France and Germany have told the UN they are ready to reimpose sanctions on Iran over its nuclear program if it fails to resume talks by the end of August. The three countries, known as the E3, said they were preparing to trigger a snapback mechanism, meaning previous sanctions would be reinstated unless Iran resumes negotiations. The E3's letter comes after initial talks between their delegations and Iranian diplomats took place in Istanbul, in Turkey, last month. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has indicated that Gaza ceasefire efforts are now focused on a comprehensive deal to release all of the remaining hostages at once. The plan previously being pushed was for an initial 60-day truce and partial release of living hostages. Hamas says a delegation of its leaders is in Cairo for preliminary talks with Egyptian officials. Reports say that mediators see a window of opportunity in the coming weeks to try to push through a deal. The wife of South Korea's jailed former president Yoon Suk-yeol has been arrested over a raft of charges, including stock manipulation and bribery. The former First Lady, Kim Kyon-hee, denied all charges during a 4-hour court hearing in Seoul, but the court issued a detention warrant, citing the risk that she may destroy evidence. South Korea has a history of former presidents being indicted and imprisoned. However, this is the first time both the former president and former First Lady have been jailed. Firefighters are battling several wildfires in Greece as a scorching heatwave wreaks havoc across southern Europe. In the past 24 hours alone, more than 152 new fires have broken out across Greece, and thousands of people have been evacuated. Around 4,800 firefighters are engaged in a multi-front battle to contain the flames. At least 3 people have died in Spain, Albania and Turkey, with dozens more taken to hospital with smoke inhalation and burns. Even the unlikely location of Scotland has seen fires. Here, Arthur's Seat in Edinburgh in flames. Some Alaskans are evacuating their homes as meltwater escapes a basin dammed by the Mendenhall Glacier, raising fears of record-breaking flooding in the U.S. state's capital city. The National Weather Service has issued a flood warning as glacial outburst water flows into Mendenhall River, putting homes in the area at risk. For days, local officials have warned residents they may be forced to evacuate. On Tuesday, they confirmed water had begun escaping the ice dam and flooding was expected in the coming days.
We are partnering with the Red Cross to set up an emergency evacuation shelter at Floyd Dryden Gymnasium. Again, we just really encourage everybody to sign up for emergency alerts. As we've heard for the National Weather Service, these events can become dynamic, and as we receive updated information, we'll be pushing those out through our Alert Sense opt-in app. Our number one priority for this response is the protection of life and safety.
Hey, Magic Mirror, who's the fairest of them all? Why, Shrek, of course.
And the much-anticipated release of Shrek 5 has been delayed for a second time.
Whoa! Shrek 5.
DreamWorks Animation originally scheduled the sequel for next summer, but pushed it back to December 2026. It has now shifted the release back further to June 2027.
Wait to meet your Prince Charming.
There's speculation that the delay was to avoid competing with Avengers Doomsday, Dune Part 3, and Ice Age 6, which are all set to hit cinemas in December next year.
Look out, Shrek! He got a piece!
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Nigeria's D Tigers began their 2025 Afro-Basket campaign with a convincing 77-59 victory over Madagascar and Luanda, Angola earlier today. D Tigers claimed the first quarter 18-14, while Madagascar took the second 23-20. In the third quarter, Nigeria produced a defensive masterclass, dominating the paint 17-9 before sealing the contest by 22-13 points. Caleb Agada emerged the top performer, failing the starts with 22 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals. Stan Okoye chipped in 13 points, while Ike Nwamu added 12 points. Well, they played their second group game on Friday against defending champions Tunisia. Away from football, in a dramatic showdown that kept fans on the edge of their seats, European champions PSG secured their first ever UEFA Super Cup title after defeating Tottenham Hotspur in a thrilling penalty shootout. The match, which ended in a 2-2 draw after an incredible late comeback by PSG when Gonzalo Ramos delivered a powerful header in the 4th minute of stoppage time to level the score and force the game into penalties. The tense penalty shootout saw both teams hold their nerve, but it was Nuno Mendes who ultimately sealed the deal for the French champions, giving PSG a 4-3 victory in the shootout and securing a historic win. What a comeback. Congratulations there. Absolutely in order for PSG. To transfer news now, Bournemouth news signing Bafode Diakite has promised to give his best after joining the Premier League side from Lille. The centre-back is expected to fill the void left by Lilia Zabari, who joined PSG. Diakite, who will reportedly cost up to £34.6 million, making him the Chelsea's second most expensive signing. 24-year-old will get a chance to prove himself this Friday when Bournemouth face Liverpool at Anfield.
Because I know the coach has a good idea to play in Premier League, and I know the player have good quality, so for me it's a good opportunity to show my quality to help the team and show the team quality for help to go forward. I know we have the same media to play, so I think we will speak good. We will give everything for the team, and I hope we will have a good moment together.
Let's turn to tennis now, where two-time former champion Venus Williams is set to make her 25th U.S. Open appearance after receiving a wild card into the women's singles. The 45-year-old American recently returned from a 16-month layoff after a serious health scare and was among 8 women's wild card recipients named by the tournament organizers. The 7-time Grand Slam champion Williams will become the oldest singles entrant at the U.S. Open since Rennie Richards, who was 47 in 1981. Right back here. And that's sports. I'm Kelly Egiga. It's back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. After spending 48 hours in detention, Ibom Air passenger accused of misconduct, Ms. Comforti Mansing, has regained her freedom following the withdrawal of charge by Lagos Police Command. Ms. Mansing, in a social media post, however, says she will soon give her own version of events after getting medical treatment for the pains she suffered during her ordeal. Meanwhile, human rights lawyer Femi Falana says the federal government has lost the right to prosecute any unruly passenger following the pardon granted Fuji musician Fan One. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Ward. Good night and please stay safe.